Welcome to Boating Georgian Bay TV.
Today we're here with Adrian and Andre from Toronto Yacht Sales, and guys, tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, Toronto Yacht Sales is a brokerage. We're based in Toronto, Georgian Bay, Kingston, and we're expanding into Montreal as well as a larger international yacht division. We've been in business since 2008, and we have been doing our very best to service the Southern Ontario and Quebec markets since that time.
So how did you two hook up to start up Toronto Yacht Sales?
Well, we started selling boats in Toronto in 2008, as Andre said. And for us, it only made sense to keep expanding the business and keep moving in. So Toronto was a great success for us. It was growing more. We said, let's launch into Kingston, because the Thousand Islands, one of the best boating locations in the world. And then, of course, Georgian Bay was on the list next to keep going. And our idea, of course, is to have that network to cover Ontario completely, where we can move boats back and forth, we can move boaters back and forth, and we can connect people. And really just bring the province together for selling boats and moving boats back and forth and servicing the whole province.
So I'm just curious, if I'm looking to buy a yacht, why would I want to go to a brokerage like you?
Well, that's a very good question. Brokers can help to guide you through the purchase, starting at selecting the proper vessel for you. We can ask, what type of boat you're looking for, what type of boating you plan on doing, and based on your wants and your needs, we can help to go out and find the right boat for you. My advice generally is, if you're newer to boating, get on board as many as you can. We can help you get on board as many as possible. Look around. We can talk about what you like and what you don't like in the boat and narrow the search down. And once we've honed in on the right boat for you, we can help you with the best practices going forward, and that means things like figuring out what the boat is worth and to help to put a proper offer forward to the seller of the vessel. We can work with you and the seller to survey the vessel. We can work with you and the seller to ensure that we do a proper sea trial on the boat as well. And of course, the paperwork and the handling of funds, we have a dedicated trust account to put all of the funds in for the purchase to ensure that you're protected, as is the seller. We generally try to follow all of these practices to ensure that there's as little risk as possible to you, because it's a big purchase.
A big purchase. So, what about surveys?
Yeah, well, this is the question that always comes up. And we're always going to tell you, you want to get a survey, you want to get a second opinion. And that's one for peace of mind. It's a lot of money for a lot of people, right? It's a big investment. People are going to put money into these boats, and you just want to make sure that at the end of it you feel good, because nobody wants to have, disappointment or buyer's regret at the end of the day, and that surveyor is going to make you feel good about that. On top of that, they're looking for deficiencies. It really does take an expert to go through and just checking out, making sure hulls are sound, making sure that all the individual pieces on the boat are working, and it's something you may not think about. Each water pump needs to be tested, each air conditioning unit. You do want someone who's focused, having that dedicated time to really go through it and just make sure that everything's working as it should be. And of course, yeah, on surveys, things do come up. It's not uncommon for there to be small things that need to be repaired, but that's why we're here. We're here to work out those issues that come out and take the awkwardness out of that and really fix the boat and get it the way you want it and make sure everybody's happy at the end of the day. It's what we do.
So it's kind of like getting a home inspection when you're buying a house, and
sure
just
it is.
being able to
have that expert opinion, and we're always going to tell you, move ahead, make it a condition of the sale. And it's a bit more like buying a house than people realize, because it is a lot of money. There can be a large amount of money on the table, so you want to make sure, of course, that you've gone through it and that you're happy with how you're moving forward.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, as a yacht buyer, how am I going to be protected from buying a lemon?
Well, it's hard to call a boat a lemon.
Okay.
Because there's different boats, there's different budgets, there's different people. There's handy people that want to work on a boat more, and there's other people with higher budgets that want to walk right into the right boat. So we use that term a little bit lightly, but at the same time, that's why we're telling you get a survey. That's why we're telling you spend some time with us. We've been on a lot of boats. We've got a lot of sea miles ourselves. So do all the guys working with us. Let us go through it with you. This is the advantage of having us. We're going to show you around. We're going to show you the things to look for, right? So it's hard to call a boat a lemon. There's different boats for different people, but again, we'll protect you and make sure that the boat is as sound as it should be.
It's important to know that the most important thing is to know what you're getting.
Right.
So if you come in with a lower budget, you're looking for an older boat, and we go to survey the vessel, our goal is to make sure that you understand exactly what you're buying.
Yes.
And it may require some more work than a newer boat with a higher price tag, but as long as that's transparent and everybody knows what to expect, we feel that that's a good deal for everyone. One of the more important kind of issues that we have to handle when the survey comes up is that a boat, for instance, that was built in the 70s is going to have all kinds of red flags on a survey, on a boat that was surveyed using today's ABYC criteria. For instance, the wiring that was done in the 70s or in the 80s, while it's not up to today's code, there are certainly tens of thousands of boats still floating and not on fire, using wiring that was done in the 70s and 80s. So we just have to realize what it is, what kind of deal you're getting, and just make sure it's fair to everybody involved.
Exactly.
So with the Canadian dollar being low again, what kind of an effect is that having on sales?
It's a great question, and whenever the Canadian-US dollar fluctuates so wildly, it has a major effect on the boating business here in Southern Ontario. We found that we've sold a number of our listings down into the States. In fact, about half of our business this spring was selling our listings to U.S. buyers. One of the benefits for somebody who is listing a boat with us is that we're able to advertise not only in Southern Ontario, but with online programs like Yacht World and our websites, as well as our Google AdWords and our print advertising. We actually advertise all down into the United States, and what that does is it essentially brings other brokers and their clients up, brings clients on their own to come up and purchase our boats. And what we're finding is with that exchange rate, we're really selling a lot of boats down into the States.
Yeah, and especially, if you're looking at some of these larger boats, we're getting into the Meridians, we're sending large Meridians, even that $500,000 plus range, the savings are just too good with the dollars. You're at 20% on that. It's too good. Even with trucking, you get nice Canadian freshwater boats. We're sending them out to Washington, Seattle. We're sending them all through the rivers and the Chesapeake. It's just too good to say no to right now. So the larger stuff in particular is heading out because the deals are just too good.
Yeah, and we find a lot of the U.S. buyers, they love that they're dealing with a broker up here and not just a private sale. It gives them a little bit more trust that they can send their funds up. We put it in our dedicated U.S. dollar trust account. We hold it there, and then we can pay out. And also, we've become quite proficient in procuring U.S. Coast Guard bill of sales and all the documentation necessary to be able to send a boat down south, which we find is very helpful for us and the buyers as well.
Yeah.
So curious, can you fill us in on any plans for the future with Toronto Yacht Sales?
Yeah, absolutely. We're proud of where we're going, and we're just having such great success. Toronto Yacht Sales is growing. Our footprint in Georgian Bay is growing. Our Kingston and Montreal. But the future, of course, is to connect down to the U.S. We need to be we can work in the U.S. right now and bringing these boats back and forth. There's no question, but we really got to get a presence down there. And on the horizon is the large international yacht division where we're going to bring these large boats and really expand into there. So we're growing, we're getting bigger and better all the time.
You guys have some big plans.
We've got some big plans, and it's all in the near future too. They're more than just plans, so it's good.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. We started in 2008. We started in Toronto, and we found great success there. We really focused on trying to focus locally, deal with local boats, local owners, buyers and sellers, and to offer that personalized service to them. Since then, we've expanded into Kingston, Georgian Bay, using that same philosophy with our local representation. and we're able to offer international and national and international exposure to our listing clients. What does the future hold? Well, Adrian and I have been doing a lot of trips down into the east coast of the U.S. We've been attending, all of the major boat shows, and we've been really trying to understand exactly what's happening down there, because we want to be able to bring our listings down into the States, sell them down there, and also to launch our international large yacht division, which is something that's very exciting. It focuses on larger boats, $1 million plus. And we're just launching that now, and I think that it's going to be very exciting to see what happens in the future.
So guys, I just want to say it's been great talking with you. I had lots of information on why it's worth using you guys. Like you have a lot to offer your customers, and I wish you a lot of success, and thank you for letting Boating Georgian Bay interview you today.
Thank you very much. That was great.
Absolutely our pleasure. We're boaters. Let's not forget that, yeah, we sell boats, but we're boaters too. We love boating Georgian Bay. We love boating in the south. We love boating, so we understand these clients, and we're really happy to be here.
Nice. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how are they going to do that?
First up is definitely the website. And the easy one, just head right to TorontoYachtSales.com. But of course, if you're up in Georgian Bay, hit GeorgianBayYachtSales.com, Montreal, MontrealYachtSales.com,
Nice.
Kingston, KingstonYachtSales.com. But
Or even better, drop by and see us in person. Our head office is located at the Outer Harbour Marina, which is downtown Toronto. And come down and say hello. We'd love to see you.
absolutely.
Nice. Okay, so we're at White Heritage Marina on a really lovely rainy day, and we're with Harold Deenan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And we're on his 48-foot Sea Ray.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Reckless?
Reckless is the name,
Reckless. Nice name.
yeah. With a W. Reckless.
Now, I hear you're a gold looper.
Yes. Yeah, we did complete the loop last year. I guess we were back in. I guess we came back around May last year.
So, what was it that made you and your wife finally decide to do the loop?
We had. I didn't even know about the loop. I would say 6 years ago. Didn't even know what the loop was. And then somebody had told me about it, and I said, "Well, that makes sense. I guess Eastern United States."
Mm-hmm.
And so we can do this, and we started working towards it. We didn't have this boat at that time. We decided that this would be the right boat for the loop. So after we decided that we were going to do it, we went out and looked for this boat and found it in Sarnia, and from there we just started planning. And after we had this for a couple of years, we took off.
Nice.
September, I guess. Yeah. So.
That sounds like it would have been a pretty nice adventure for you and your wife. What were some of the highlights?
I would. My highlights and hers might differ a little bit, although we both agree that Chicago was spectacular. We really enjoyed going through Michigan. It's kind of funny, but the majority of loopers are Americans,
Mm-hmm.
and so these people, the highlight of their cruising is what we're used to. They come up here and they'll spend months in the North Channel, well, as much as they can, because for them it's the highlight of the trip. We actually bypassed, we just cruised right through because we've done the North Channel so often, and headed down Michigan. We started with Chicago, probably was one of the highlights. We don't have a whole lot of good stuff to say about the Mississippi. It's just a really dirty ditch, and quite frankly. There's a few cities on the way down, St. Louis and that was kind of interesting. It's not until you get down to Kentucky where you start to see a little bit of the beauty again, and then you get on the Black Warrior, that you begin to enjoy it. I think if you were to ask most of the friends who visited us, the highlights for us were things like we spent a month in the Abacos in the Bahamas, spent a couple months in the Keys, and certainly those were the prime visiting times,
Mm-hmm.
and we certainly enjoyed ourselves there. So yeah, I would say those probably are the highlights. Is mostly south. We love Florida. We love Tarpon Springs. I could go on and on and on. It would take you a couple of hours to get through it. So, yeah.
So it sounded like there were a few little low points along your travels. Do you have any tips maybe that you could offer people that are doing the loop?
Yeah, the number one tip that every single looper will tell you is Mother Nature sets a timetable. You don't. So be patient. If the weather is bad, then wait it out. There's no point in risking everything just to get into some bad weather. The other thing that I would, and from personal experience, a lot of freshwater boaters don't understand tides. Our little freshwater tide here that we have, a little foot here and there, is nothing compared to 4 or 5 or 6 feet. Make sure that you understand it when you tie up. Make sure that when you're anchoring, you understand the tides. It's always a bit of a challenge initially until you begin to understand it, and particularly when you're going into an inlet or something else. What the charts say is not always there, particularly if you're at low tide. Most people always tell you to enter a harbor or an inlet at a rising tide, so it's a lot safer. Those kinds of things us freshwater boaters don't understand. We don't get it. And the other thing that we ran into is, again, freshwater boaters are not used to having to have the ability to pump waste over the side. We didn't have the ability on this boat. The boat was not built for that. And we found out in the Abacos that there's few and far between, if anybody, that's got a working pump out. So we had to basically, one of my friends was coming down, and I said, these are the parts that I need. And he brought a suitcase of parts, and we rigged a pump out so that we could pump the system as well. But don't expect you're going to find one, because you won't.
So Harold, I'm curious, would you do it again?
I would do it again in a second, and we met a number of people that sold everything, bought a boat, and have been doing it for years, and taking their time and doing it. And in fact, I met one fella who that's all he did. He spent his life doing the loop over and over. I don't know that Linda would do it again, simply because there are hundreds of locks, and when you're on a boat that's got fairly large fenders and it's got a large displacement, and that there are challenges to constantly running around, and so it might have been easier on a smaller boat or a trawler or something, but yeah, there were some challenges, I think, with trying to do the locks, and when you've got a series of them, like the Erie or the Trent system, it can be a little bit onerous.
Well, nice to hear that you'd do it again.
Yeah, in a second.
Anyways, I just want to thank you for letting us use your boat today and taking the time to let us interview you about the loop, and it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, so we're back with Harold, and we have Steve Goddard here joining us now, and Steve is the service manager at Y Heritage, and Steve's got some extensive knowledge. He's a captain, and he's been around boats a long time, and we thought we'd talk a little bit about must-have boat spares. And Harold, being a looper, he knows what it's like, being out for some time, and Harold probably has some value to that conversation as well. So Steve, I guess first of all, there's probably kind of two types of spares, right? The maintenance things that you might need to have, and the emergency things that you might need to have. Give us a few suggestions on that.
Absolutely. The biggest thing I would think is the spares are in place because sometimes when you're out there, you can always find somebody to put it in, but have a difficult time in finding the exact part to put in. Having spare impellers, that's always a big one. Your different oils, your belts, things of that nature. If you have the dripless seals for your stuffing boxes, those are always things that, as long as you actually, carry these items, it's easy to find somebody to put them in, no matter where you are. On the other side of things, spare props, spare shafts, again, you can be in remote areas and can find people to install these, but to carry them on board, at least you have them, especially somebody that's doing the looping aspect of the boating.
What's the most common, Steve? Is it fuel filters that would stop most boats?
Fuel filters are always a good thing to carry as well. Your rate cores, absolutely.
Yeah, we switched them. I probably carried 8 of those, and
8?
and
Wow.
I'm sure that we went through at least 6 of them. Fortunately, most of the newer systems have the dual, so you can just flip and do it on the fly. But I wouldn't be without them. And impellers, as you mentioned, the impellers, not so much on the engines, but the generator, it's going to go.
Absolutely.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. Air conditioning units,
Yep.
same thing.
Yep.
The either a housing or the actual impellers that are in the air conditioning units, they do fragment and whatnot.
So Harold, normally you might change your impeller on your generator like once a year. Did you find when you were living on your boat and out there every day that it did it last even a year?
No, I think we probably, so we were gone for 10 months to a year, and I think we probably went through 3 or 4 impellers.
Wow.
Simply because what happens is, and a lot of people think, well, the impeller's wearing out. It's not really wearing out. They wear out during the winter when they get that set.
Absolutely.
What they wear out from is if something gets into your intake, blocks your intake, and now all of a sudden it's sucking dry, it'll burn out in no time flat.
Absolutely. I've
And-
seen the intakes pick up bags.
Yeah.
You get into some of these ports and they're very
Yeah.
dirty.
Oh, yeah.
Very easy to happen.
I pulled out fish out of my strainer, 2 or 3 little fish, and they'll actually jam up the hose. So that's what causes them to go. Yeah.
Haven't talked about yet is electronics failure. I mean, on long trips and stuff like that. I mean, these things can happen. What's your advice on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. As far as the electronics, I've had it happen myself, and we've always had the paper charts on the boat, as a backup, and the ability to read them properly and whatnot. It's one of those things that 10 years ago a lot of people knew how to read the paper charts. Today, a lot of people rely on the electronics. It's a bit of a change, but always good to have paper on board that when you do have those emergencies, and they will happen, you can always go back to them.
What about you, Harold? You carried paper charts on your
We
journey?
carry paper charts, we always do, but we did have a chart plotter go on us as we were coming into Marathon Key and trying to get into the harbor. My wife simply grabbed her iPad, turned it on, and used the Navionics charts that are on it. As I said before, it's about the cheapest form of charts that you can possibly get, and it's a good backup, although, what's faster? I think the iPad was probably faster at that moment rather than scrambling to get. We should probably have had the paper charts out all the time, and that's probably the right way of doing it, but we didn't do that. We also have redundancy in VHF, just about, those kinds of things you don't want to count on one unit.
Absolutely, yeah. No, always, especially when you're doing a trip like that, to have redundancy is always a great idea.
Perfect. Well, those are all great tips and good to know. I mean, especially for people who are, not just kind of day tripping if you're out for weeks or, in Harold's case, for a year. Important stuff to know. Thank you very much, guys. One of the things that really bothers me is being on the docks and seeing people make those green slushy things and lime green and calling them margaritas. So today we're going to do a margarita done right. Traditional margarita. It's very simple. The key ingredients are tequila, of course, lime juice if you don't have enough limes, and a little bit of bar mix just as a small sweetening agent. You can make it with pure lime if you're so inclined. Most people like a little bit of sweetness to it. And of course, the key ingredients are real curacao. So this is real orange curacao from Curacao Island. A margarita should be on the rocks, ideally, and a margarita done right, it'll kind of look like muddy water. It won't look lime green, and it's the coloring of the curacao. Now, if you can't get real curacao, it's hard to find. It's not the curacao that you buy in Canadian liquor stores, the blue stuff. That's not curacao. This has a smoky orange taste, and it comes from Valencia oranges that were brought over by the Spaniards to Curacao Island that kind of morphed, and they couldn't eat them, so they decided to ferment them and make a liqueur from them. If you can't get the real curacao, the next best thing is to get the Patron Citronage, which you can get in some liquor stores in Ontario, or another good alternative to that is Cointreau. All three kind of have that smoky, burnt orange taste that you need to make the margarita right. So, It's really simple. Ice in the glass. Nobody measures tequila. A good couple ounces there. Curacao. Sweeten it up a little bit. Give it that nice flavor. Lots of lime juice. The real lime is just convenient, you know. I mean, it's just better with real limes, but it's a lot of work to be juicing it. And we like to give it a little shot here, real lime. And we just drop that into the glass. And we just top it up with a little we're not fancy, so we just give it a little stir with the finger there. And there you have it. You see how it looks like kind of like muddy water? So this is for you, and you're going to like this a lot better than the green slushy stuff.
Hi there. Today we're going to talk about something that's not always talked about, and that's safety on a boat. And you know, when you're on a boat, it is really important to have the right equipment in case an emergency happens. So we're going to take a look at all the different items that you'd need. This is a mandatory life ring for this size boat. And you can find you know, the safety equipment that's required by your boat, because it does vary. Normally you'd have a rope attached to this life ring, but one thing we found is you can throw this life ring a lot further without the rope. So we've taken the rope off, and that's how we use it. The nice thing about you know, these throw life rings is you can throw them about 30 feet. So it's just a big swing and out, and directing it to the person that's in the water. This is the device that we like to use for a throw rope. It's a Fox 40. And what's nice about it is you can see it's like shaped like a football. You pull the line out and you simply just throw it like a football, so you can get quite a bit more distance with this little device. We like to combine the two, the life ring, we get that out to the person right away, and then using the Fox 40 we can get the rope out to the person easily and at quite a distance, so just makes it a lot easier, especially, you know, if you're not a big person, you don't have the strength to throw that life ring out, so just makes it easy and efficient. So we like to carry at least three throw ropes on the boat, and this is another alternative to the Fox 40. You don't have the same ability to direct it to the target like with the Fox 40, but you know, if you've thrown that one and you've got to throw another one, you've got this one in case. So this is a really great little device. It's called a True Plug. And just as the name says, it's a great little device for plugging a hole that might happen on your boat. If you spin a prop shaft out, you know, you can get down and you can just insert the True Plug, and that'll create a really strong seal for you. So another nice thing about it, you can see it's very soft. So, you know, if it'll fill like you know, all kinds of different size shapes of holes. So you know, if you hit a rock, you know, as long as it's not too big of a hole, it should be able to do the job for you. It goes without saying that you need to have your flares on board. So every boat requires a different size flares. You'll have to check and make sure you've got the right ones for your boat. And the other thing about flares is they expire, so it's important to check the dates on your flares. And you know, if your flares have expired, keep them. You have to buy the new, you know, get the current dated ones, but keep the old ones just in case of emergency. And so this is a typical flare gun, and if you've never fired a flare gun, it might be worth checking with your marina, because sometimes what they'll do is they'll hold days where they allow people to come and practice firing them off, and they'll just use the old expired flares. So, you know, if you've never fired one and you want to feel what it's like, you know, check with your marina. Maybe they can help you out. One thing that I think is really important is when you have somebody who's on your boat that's not used to boating, just take a moment and just go over the simple radio, how to contact help if you need help, because even though you're the one in charge, accidents happen, and that accident could happen to you, and then you've got this poor person on your boat who doesn't know how to help, and they're overwhelmed with this dashboard. So show them the very basics, show them how to turn on the radio, show them how to push the button in and call for help, and that will help them with a lot, build their confidence and save your life. Now we're going to talk about life jackets. So a lot of people don't like to wear life jackets, and they don't like to wear them for lots of different reasons, but some people feel that they're too bulky, so they're hard to move around in. You can see this is the more traditional style, and you can see it covers a lot of area. Maybe it affects the movement of your arms, but the one thing about this is it does the job. It's going to keep your head out of the water, so if you hit your head and you're unconscious, this life jacket is going to keep you above the water. Now if you're a little bit more fashion conscious, then there's these wonderful little self-inflating life jackets, and you can see there's really not much to them. You have lots of room for moving your arms. They're not inflated until you hit the water. They'll inflate automatically. One thing about if you do have a self-inflating one, there is a little battery protector in there that has to be removed before that battery works, so make sure you remove the little piece of paper. And once that's removed, if you hit the water, this will inflate automatically, and then you have your pull string just in case, so your extra safety one here. So you can see, nice and easy, open through the back, completely free to move in. And they come in different colors, so you can color coordinate. The other little feature that we like to have is, you can see this one has a little whistle on it, and this one over here has a little strobe light on it, and that little strobe, once it hits the water, is activated. So you've got a couple options when it comes to life jackets. So I just want to finish with one thing, and it only takes a moment, but when you have somebody new on the boat, just take the time to point out where the safety equipment is. And like I said, it takes a minute, but an emergency happens, so at least that person knows, and and you'll end up with a much better outcome. So boat safe.
I'm here with Captain Bill Everett, and Bill's going to tell us a tale about boat deliveries, because he's done lots of them. So Bill, tell us about your favorite tale in terms of delivering a boat.
Yeah, one that really comes to mind, I did about 3 years ago, delivered a sailboat from Annapolis, Maryland up to here in Midland, Ontario. Came up through the northeastern seaboard, through the Hudson, the Erie Canal, made it to the Oswego Canal, and the next leg of the journey was to cross Lake Ontario, which we would typically try and do that at night, where we get calmer seas. And we set out at 9 o'clock with an expectation of arriving at 7. And although the weather forecast was favorable until then, the winds picked up just after 2 a.m. The seas, being at the east end of the lake, the seas started building, and we were quite worried about the rig coming off the boat and damaging it, going to the bottom. At daybreak, the stand that's in front of on the vessel, on the bow that was supporting the mast, started to collapse. And fortunately, I had with hammer and nail, I was able to crawl forward and fix that. We had trouble at the aft end as well. It was quite the white knuckle night, the toughest night I've ever seen at sea, delivering a boat, because we were quite concerned for ourselves and for the rig itself, with that unexpected blow that picked up 4 hours sooner than predicted.
How high were the waves coming over?
They were between, the bigger ones were about 6 feet. They were breaking right over the bow. I mean, I was getting completely soaked when I was up at the bow trying to nail this thing back together. And we were ever happy to see Presqu'île Point in the morning. By this time, of course, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. We made our way through the Murray Channel into Trenton, and of course we had to clear Canadian customs. And lo and behold, we were quite tired. We had to stay up. We couldn't go to sleep that late morning because we had to wait for them. They were about 2 hours coming to the boat. When they finally came to the boat, there were 6 of them. Some of them were in training. And the head customs official asked me point blank on the dock, do you have any drugs, alcohol, or no, drugs, weapons, or more than $10,000 cash on board? And I said, no, we don't. And so we were quite surprised that there were that many agents there. And then we had a little bit of chit chat. Then after that he said, I'm going to ask you one more time. This is your chance to let us know. Do you have any drugs on board, any firearms, or more than $10,000 cash? And we said, no, absolutely not. I happened to mention that I make a living doing this, so I wouldn't be taking such a risk. So anyway, next thing I know, a seventh agent's coming down the dock with a sniffer dog. And he said, well, the reason I'm asking you twice is that if you have it, you better tell us now. And I said, absolutely not. And down the dog went. 10 minutes later, the agent came up and said, the coast is clear. And they went through all the other paperwork with us, and then we were on our way. The funny thing was, at the marina there, people were walking by with 7 agents at the boat, and they were asking the marina manager, what did those people do? And he said, I don't know, I know them, and I know they're good people, so I don't know what happened. We eventually told him the story that had taken place.
So you were kind of worn out and bummed out, and then on top of that you got kind of taken down by all these drug agents or customs agents to...
Yeah. Much to my chagrin. We had actually delivered a powerboat a week before that. It landed and went a different route. We went up through Lake Huron and cleared at Sarnia, and no agent came to the boat at all. It was just a paperwork exercise up at the customs office. So we thought maybe they seen me coming through again as a delivery captain, that there might have been something up to me bringing something into the country. That's all we can think of. And I think for the extra number of agents had to do with some of them were in training.
Good. Well, thanks, Bill. At least you survived the. I'm sure you'll have lots more situations like that put you to the test, eh?
Yes. In fact, as a matter of fact, we have another delivery coming up next week. We're going the other way. We're taking a boat from Keswick down to Connecticut on Long Island Sound.
Hope that journey goes smoothly.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Bill.